This is the 133rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of April, 2013. This episode is titled Mono. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me, co-host, after our marathon of a podcast last week, Justin Nelson. Justin, how are you doing today?
That was not a sprint.
That was a marathon.
This is like a half marathon, perhaps.
You're very close to your mic.
I'm trying.
Why?
Because I listened to all 120 minutes of the podcast from last week, or I guess it wasn't. It was about 90 minutes. But
yeah.
And I thought I sound very low. I don't project to my mic.
I know, but we just got 2 new mics. So for the listening audience, you know we're all big Blue fans. And we have the Blue Snowball,
right,
which is
the Snowball. And
then we have the Blue Snowball, which is silver.
Right.
And then we were looking for a travel mic because the last time we took the Blue Snowball on the road...
Let's just say the TSA doesn't like the Blue Snowball.
So we just got these new ones called Blue Snowflakes.
Yeah.
And they're tiny. And they sit... And they're tiny. They all wrap up in a nice little case. And we're thinking about using them for travel because we're actually going to be away next week. But we don't want to let down our listening audience.
Even though we prepared them during the last podcast, we said we may not be around next week, but we're going to try our best.
But so this is
these
trying
mics.
Our best.
Yeah. Well, we're testing them this week. We're testing them in production, which is not advisable, but we're doing it.
Well, no one's paying us to make this podcast.
That's
so it doesn't
true.
Really matter.
We're sponsoring it ourselves. Sponsored by Arkus.
I have found that some of my clients are starting to say that they're listening to the podcast.
Oh, do they like it?
And it's becoming a little bit like, ooh.
Do we talk about them?
I don't know. It's been 133 times.
We try not to talk about our clients.
We never say anything.
In specific anything, but sometimes we give examples of things that we've done.
Right.
That we've done for our clients, obviously, and maybe one that's listening will say, oh, that was me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
So it was. So you out there who's thinking it's for you, it's for you.
Everything we do is for you.
For you.
You're our only client.
Only client. And closing up shop. All right. So let's get... So anyway, I'd love to hear feedback this week on the Blue Snowflake mics.
Hopefully there's not too much feedback in people's ears.
We actually did a test where it was coming through as the 2 sides, like I was on the left and you were on the right. I was willing to go.
You thought that was okay. I was not.
Great.
No. It was not like a DJ where you're just mixing it left and right.
Awesome.
No, we're not doing that.
So,
the crossfade?
Yeah, the crossfade. But so we will try to do our podcast from Texas next week.
Austin,
Texas.
Austin, Texas.
And
a city in Texas, not a Texan city, from what I've heard.
It's, you've been there.
Well, that's what people say.
Okay. It's weird because you've been there. But let's talk about our agenda today. First thing, we have a little feedback. We got some feedback from last week's podcast. Talk about that. We have the blog post du jour of the week. Actually, we have 2. One which I haven't put out. Maybe we'll just leave that for next week.
Let's save it for next week then.
Right. So
we'll have 2 for next week.
We'll have 2 for next week. Although it does fit right into what we were talking about, but whatever.
Well, then let's just talk about it, and people read it when they read it.
Okay, and then there's Spring MVPs announced, and we have Salesforce announces a new open source and a new catchword, or a new catch. What is that acronym?
I don't think they came up with that acronym.
Someone else did?
Someone else did.
Okay.
I'm not going to give them credit for that.
And then it's sort of in the news, it's sort of cloud, it's sort of whatever, but it's hard to ignore the news of the new Facebook phone. Neither one of us own it. I actually read about 10 reviews this morning because I was interested.
I've read none. I knew they were doing a phone announcement. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
I'll save it.
So let's go for the blog post that's actually up at blog.argusinc.com.
You can read right now today.
Is the...
it's called Under Consideration Idea Exchange Ideas Worth a Vote.
Okay.
A mouthful of a title.
Right. So as for all of you who are just turning in for the first time, we talk about a lot of stuff, but one of the things we talk about more often than not is Salesforce, and Salesforce has a way of collecting ideas from the community called the Idea Exchange, where people vote on them. And one of the things they've added over the last couple of years is sort of a status of ideas to say under consideration or not planned, which we've talked about, really piss people off.
We don't like those.
Or coming in next release. or I think those are it. Or delivered.
No, there's a lot of them.
No, there's delivered. That's it. Statuses.
No way. There's new. There's partially implemented. There's pilot beta.
There's App Exchange.
There's App Exchange Partner available, and then they have delivered in which release they've been delivered.
So these are ones that are in consideration. That means that they're kind of they're getting into the scrums. So someone's starting to talk about them, starting to build them out as user stories.
Maybe
they're
considering them.
They're considering.
They're talking about.
They're talking about.
At least they're being talked about.
It's a good time to go put your votes on them because you can push them over the edge. Maybe one of these will be
and not to be overlooked. Comment on them.
Yes.
So not only vote, just comment, give use cases, say why you think this would be interesting.
So you actually spoke at didn't you speak at the Friendly Dreamforce last year?
Idea Exchange under the covers.
And do they count comments?
They look at them, and the PMs get a lot of ideas from them.
From the comments?
From the comments, yeah.
But they don't say, if I have 2 ideas, both with 5,000
No, they don't really consider
this one has 2 comments, this one has
part of
10,000 comments?
They don't really look at that as part of like the quote-unquote velocity of an idea. But the comments are how you engage with Salesforce. So that's how you engage with both the person who submitted the idea, anybody else who's commented previously on the idea, and the PMs, if they're good, are also in there commenting on that idea with you, asking you about the use case, asking you about trying to tease out what does this idea really mean.
Right.
Because some of them are vague, but the titles are good.
Right. You know what's really vague? Raise the chatter limits. That's vague. It's like, well, how many do you want? Like one more? Do you want?
It's a vague one.
It's actually partially delivered because you can actually.
We'll talk about it. That's not even in one of our 4.
Yes, it is. Increased number of chatter objects one can follow.
Is that
number 2?
Oh, it's number 3. Sorry.
Oh, 3, 2. It's 2.
It's 3.
But 3. You're right.
3.
Yeah, 3. But I will tell you, it is sort of implemented because in the comments, if you read the comments, the PM has said.
The comments.
The PM has said this is available. Put in a ticket. Now we've actually talked about what you should do for that ticket, and that the people don't really. You have to write like a little essay on why you need it.
A little business case.
I use Chatter a lot. I follow a lot of records.
Right.
What else? What's
done?
Business
case.
So we got ours up to like 2,500.
Sweet.
I think.
I don't know. I've gotten in such a groove of pruning and unfollowing that it's part of my. To go back to last week, it's part of my review process to unfollow things on a weekly basis. Yeah, on a weekly basis, I unfollow things. So I go through and I say, I no longer need to follow these things that fit in this criteria, and I have list views and just unfollow things.
Right.
Closed cases, closed opportunities.
And we don't even have the unfollow button installed.
No, I just go through my lists and
there is something like that, right? I know, because I always think like, geez, like we track all our invoices inside Salesforce, and obviously I don't need to follow any ones that are paid; they're already paid. So I have a view called paid invoices, and I have to go through, or closed cases. It'd be nice just to go click all, unfollow.
Yeah, there's a super unfollow button.
Yeah, there's a super follow button. Is there a super unfollow button?
Yeah, they're on the App Exchange. You can find them. I think they took them away, but they're still there.
It's funny with our own dev shop how I almost like, why don't we just write our own? Because sometimes you saw these things and it's like, yeah, not so good.
We had the super follow button.
And we removed it.
Yeah, because it was no longer necessary.
Right. All right. So that's one of them. And then why don't you pick one other, but let's leave the rest for
the one that I really liked is the first one that was listed was Chatter, filter my own personal actions and remove them from my feed. 2,500
points.
2,500 plus. So this is the idea that anything that you chatter, that you're the person who produced that chatter. And I think it needs to be pruned a little to say anything that I've put up there that doesn't have a comment doesn't have a like or any other action by somebody else.
This is why it's not delivered.
Don't show it to me. That's right, because that's what the comments are for. And, I would say my idea would be, get my own stuff out of my feed until someone comments on it, and then it is relevant again.
I will say as a best practice, like I know it doesn't make sense, but again, we don't have a lot of people chattering in our org, but I can't imagine what it would be like just to have, huge orgs where I feel like I would just miss tons of stuff
Well,
all the time.
I think one of the most unused and great features of Salesforce is the saved chatter lists searches.
Right.
So not the saved searches where you search for like a hashtag and then you save it, or a topic or whatever they're called. I have list views, and when you can toggle the list between list and chatter.
Right.
So then anything on that list, you see the chatter of it, you can save those to the chatter tab. And I have eight or nine of those.
And they're already kind of saved because they're the list.
They're the list. It's just not having to go anywhere. You're in your chatter tab, and that is the list view for chatter tab.
Yeah.
It's there. They show up as your little favorited things. So I've adopted that, and I don't know how many people out there actually do that. I think it's a really great feature that I don't think is I would guess is not highly adopted. Because it's like hidden a little bit.
It means like tags.
Well, no, it's more useful than tags. Tags are not that useful.
All right, so you can go read the other ones again. You want to vote? Their links are right there to them. Go vote them up. So maybe we love the idea exchange. I will say I wish and I think they're fixing this with the single sign-on. I always feel like whenever I have an idea, I always feel, I should go, and I think, it's a pain in the butt to log into that site. Like, it doesn't feel. I wish they would make it as easy to log into as a lot of other places, because it always feels like I'm logging into, I don't know, the IRS or something whenever I log into the Idea Exchange.
The App Exchange is super easy because they have it in the drop down.
Right.
Like, you hit the app drop down and it says Add App Exchange Apps, and you click it and it pops you right over pops you right over.
And in line and logged in.
Right. So if there was go to Idea Exchange, go to Answers, that would be pretty nice.
It's coming. All that single sign-on stuff's coming. So, again, that would be my thing for the Idea Exchange, is make it easier for me to post stuff in, because I feel like, maybe you get more crud when they do that. But anyway, so go to blog.arkusinc.com and read up on the under consideration Idea Exchange ideas worth a vote. That is more than a mouthful. Next up, which I'll be posting this week, is a blog post. I'm just going to talk about it in general because it's a big one. You can go read it. Is a retake from one of our old blog posts, because what better than to actually come up with new ideas than just recycle old ideas?
Yeah.
Which I wrote one back in 2010. Wow, that was a long time ago. About using Google Wave and as a methodology for tracking stuff like GTD. So this kind of brings us back to our last conversation, our last podcast, which we have gotten a lot of feedback. I've had personal people, I've had people shout out from just random places. We've had people on the Twitter say, hey, I just found David Allen's book because I was listening to this podcast.
Wow.
And tweet at GTD Guy, which is David Allen.
Nice.
So there's been a lot of feedback. I feel like it's a topic that a lot of people like. So it's very interesting, and I've had clients come to me and say, I just ordered the book because I was listening to your podcast.
That's cool.
So I want my percentage cut.
Get your check.
Well, it's funny because I said in the podcast, well, we both said in the podcast, don't read the book to start. You do this to start. So then someone's
Maybe
like,
they already did it.
No, I sent them the video. I said, watch this video. It's this 22-minute video of the TED Talk. Interests you? Then go read the book. Anyway, so great feedback. I'm excited to actually listen.
I think we might have to do some more special, afternoon special podcasts.
Yes, definitely. They take some time though.
A little more planning, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, all right. So, so this week I'm rewriting the one from the Google Wave, which died. As everybody, big fans of the show, they know that Google Wave died, and I rewrote it for Google Docs. Like, how do we use Scrums, GTD, and Google Docs sort of connected, and what's sort of the change, what's changed, and what's better, because we kind of migrated from Google Wave to Google Docs. So that'll be up on blog.arkusinc.com Friday-ish. Friday, before I get on a plane.
Recording this on Wednesday.
Recording this Wednesday. It'll be up by Friday. But you should always go there and look for stuff. So, next up, the Spring 13 MVPs.
There's a new crop.
Is it just me, or is there a lot?
There's a lot. There's 24 brand spanking new Salesforce MVPs.
They do have to go through the spank machine to get in.
Yes. They do. Congratulations to you, sir, who have been re-rewarded your MVP status as a Spring 13 re-reward. So you're re-upping for a second year.
I apparently did whatever I needed to do for the last year to stay.
You did your thing. I feel like this podcast is a big part of it.
Probably.
I have been re-rewarded. So congratulations to me.
12.
I was Spring 11.
Spring
You were
11.
Spring 12. This is now Spring 13.
Wow.
So I'm going on year 3 now.
Year 3 of MVP.
So 22 of us have been re-rewarded, and there's 24 brand new MVPs.
So that is a ton. Why 24 is a lot?
Well, 22 re-rewards, that means there were 22 then. Well, I guess that's 2 years worth. Yeah, it's a lot. 24 is a lot.
And yeah, I mean, there's other stuff going on we can already really talk to. Some of it that's like secretive. But anyway, for all of you,
it's a secret club,
it's a secret society.
And you guys aren't invited.
No, you are invited because there's 2 of them that sit on the podcast. We could call this the MVP podcast, but then if one of us lost it, then I guess it would change podcast. But just to talk about it, it's a program done by Salesforce. It's community outreach. It basically trying to identify and thank in a formalized way. And, with a little bit of, badge of honor type of thing.
Yep.
People in the community, not Salesforce employees, because, in fact, we've had MVPs who get hired by Salesforce and can no longer be MVPs.
That's right.
To thank, sort of to recognize them. And it's brilliant because it does just that. It gives a set of people who then will work for you for free, who will do extra stuff and extra special. Like, they'll go out, they'll find this, they're hungry for it. They're already a big fan of the product, and so you get to you give them a special place to log in, a special community site, and and a T-shirt, and they're all they're happy. So really interesting. I'd love to know more, and I know we interviewed Erica at Dreamforce last year, but it'd be maybe even interesting to interview her again about sort of the program. Sort of like where it come from. I'd like to hear the history of it. Like, did they do other programs that they look at? Did they look at does Pepsi do this, or does someone else? Or
but let me plug something for the MVP community as part of the engagement segment of the MVP community. There is a community led for the community by the community MVP office hours coming out.
Yes.
Okay. And it's going to be this Friday, April 12th, from 9:30 to 10:30 Pacific time. Okay?
This Friday. In 2 days.
In 2 days. And you can, you know what? I'm just going to say you can follow the Twitter handle at MVPOH, office hours. And you will find links to be able to join a GoToMeeting and be able to ask questions using hashtag MVPOH. And there'll be MVPs at the ready to answer questions and just communicate at large.
Basically,
with people.
Stump the MVP.
Get on there and ask some tough questions.
Tough questions.
Yeah.
Like, can you set the created user with the data uploader?
Sure.
Yeah. It's funny because when I'm not, I know way too much about Salesforce, but when someone asks me a question, I'm always like, unless it's something I was just doing, I have to think, is that a limit? Is it a function? Is it a feature? Is it something that actually was a problem and now is no longer a problem? Always this interesting way to think about it. So next up is the Salesforce.com launches a new service for mobile app development. This is, making a little splashy splash. I actually picked up someone the other day. They bought a company, but didn't make it to our podcast. But this is kind of interesting because they...
this is like the STK 2.0 kind of, right?
And it's they're getting into making, basically mobile as part of the connected company.
Customer company.
Customer company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Want another beer?
No.
Okay.
I haven't even had one. It's been a long week. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It's been a long week.
It has been a long week. So, getting into the mobile space is big. It's one of the 9 tenets of this. Mobile, it's clearly it's such a big sort of thing that everybody talks about. It's interesting when we talk to our clients, it's more of a checkbox than it is that's my strategy. It's more of, can I get to it mobily? Like our clients, again, all of you who are listening, they're not so much concerned about, can I build a new mobile platform to service whatever? They're like, can I get to that data via mobile in any fashion? Yes? Okay, good. Because you're usually coming from someplace where it's totally not doable. But this is a way to build out, and what they're trying to do is make it very easy and easier, and saying, listen, to build out mobile applications using Salesforce as the back end, using HTML5 and hybrid technologies is easy, right? Because, I mean, back in the day, we used to develop our own mobile apps back at the big company, and you spend millions of dollars doing that. And now, you know, it's getting easier and easier. Like, even like building an iOS app used to be like difficult, and I built one. And then now you almost go to like these shops and you'd be like, just give me a branded app that reads in these 2 RSS feeds and it's branded and has my logo on it, and they're like, okay, and you publish it to the store. It's crazy. You can almost get for, I think we found one 2 years ago. It's like $500. You can get your own app on the iOS store.
We have the CloudFocus Weekly app.
Yes, where you could then download the stuff. Although I just be like, just go use the other ones because they'll keep theirs up. So it's really interesting. I mean,
I want to know where this meets touch, because to me, touch is the answer to a lot of the I want a better mobile experience. So this to me is like, here's all the tools to build an awesome mobile experience. Well, aren't you building me an awesome mobile experience with touch? That's the part that I can't quite get my head around.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I remember...
Like, why do I want to build my own and then maintain it? Aren't you going to give it to me?
Remember that touch is... Well, not quite. Because remember that touch is the interface of Salesforce. So I'm logging into Salesforce. I'm logging in as a Salesforce user, and I'm now using a new interface to do that. A mobile app could be... I could be showing data out of Salesforce, expanding it from Salesforce, but not as a logged-in user. So think about, I wanted to expose, what do we have? Like, I want to make a project dashboard app, but it's not for logged-in users, right? Touch is for logged-in users. It's for building stuff that is for Salesforce users. This could be building stuff that's using Salesforce data as the back end, but exposing it. Think of it more like sites, but it's like mobile sites. So making that easier. Plus, HTML5 has a ton of features in it that make it...
Well, this isn't really about HTML5. This is about a lot more than HTML5.
But it's based on HTML5. The whole platform is.
Amongst many other frameworks. This particular version of the app development suite. There's a quote in here, that talks about, we thought HTML5 was going to take over the mobile app dev, but we haven't seen that play out. What we want is a choice, so we're going to give them choices.
Well, you remember reading that doc, like there's a Salesforce doc on building on a mobile platform, and it says you have 3 different choices. You can go hybrid, you can go HTML5 straight, you can go hybrid, or you can go native. It's like, and I think that's where, again, as if you're looking at the mobile space, you're like, oh man, this is difficult. And you would want something like touch. Let me build something on Salesforce using configuration, flip a switch to say, this is now touch enabled,
right,
and I have a mobile app.
Right, now you can make Visualforce pages touch enabled.
Right.
So, to me, that's kind of where it's at. But, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out.
Are we looking to do our products in touch enabled?
Yeah, we are. The Permissioner, touch enabled. We are playing around with it.
Nice. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. And then lastly, on our...
Is it lastly? Are we at lastly
It
already?
is lastly. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're going to have to tell me about this because I decided to ignore it. So, Facebook had a big phone announcement, and from what I read about it, it was like
so
Facebook...
you didn't ignore it. You've actually read
I read some headlines.
This is
I
like
didn't
a
really
headline.
read it. It was a headline read. I didn't dive in.
So
it was like, oh, Facebook has big phone announcement, has something to do with Android. I'm like, I don't care. I don't have an Android phone.
Right.
So what's the deal here?
I read a ton of reviews this morning because I guess the first set of reviews are out, like David Pogue, TechCrunch, and Gadget.
Wow, and David Pogue writes something.
Yes, then
we have to read it.
You gotta read it. I actually read the review, the sum of all 11 reviews. Like it was one big review that's pulled in all their pieces.
That's nice. I like
that's
that.
Nice. It's so here's what I got from reading about it. So I know what they announced 2 weeks ago, which was they announced the Facebook phone. It is a branded phone made by HTC, I think.
Okay, that's a headset maker.
Yep, it is. It has pretty good. I think from the hardware specs, it's a 4-point something screen. It's a this, it's a that. It's a rubber
It's a phone.
It's
Cool.
a phone, but it's a touchscreen phone. It's a
Right.
phone. And then what they did is they used Android as the core. And then they built basically a UI kind of launcher lock screen on top of it. So instead of having your normal Android phone lock screen / UI / launcher, you now have the Facebook. I think they're calling it Facebook Home.
Right.
And from what I can tell, again, through the million reviews, is that it is really about bringing Facebook, obviously, bringing Facebook posts, pictures, chats, messages,
Just all
way
to
up
the front.
way up to the top. So it's like top level.
It's like, I don't have an address book. I have Facebook.
So when you look at your phone in a lock screen, it's constantly showing you pictures from people's posting on your friends posting pictures.
You'd think the battery would just die.
So apparently it has it's like your lock screen.
Whatever.
When you log in, you're on your thing. Everything's done with icons of people because it's telling you that these are your friends.
Because it's all about, like, when you think of a phone and core functionality, obviously it needs to be able to make phone calls. Okay.
No.
We're beyond that.
Who calls on their phone anymore?
It still needs to make phone calls. It's still a phone.
Yes.
So beyond that, though, it needs to be able to have some sort of messaging.
Yep.
That reminds me. We missed a story here.
What, iMessage being down for 5 hours?
No, not iMessage being down for 5 hours, but
it hasn't been bought, so it was a rumor.
A rumor that Google was going to be buying WhatsApp.
What's
when
that?
When that happens, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk
All right. So the way I think of this, and I might be completely wrong, is that Facebook becomes the kind of like Chrome is the operating system. Facebook is the operating system. So I don't have an address book app. I don't have contacts. I don't have that on my phone. I have my Facebook friends. I don't have instant messenger or chat or text. I have Facebook messages. I don't have email. I have Facebook mail or whatever the hell that is, right?
Right. Facebook mail.
Facebook.
They don't call it
at
mail.
Facebook, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I don't have, the video chat or Hangouts or anything like that. I have the Facebook video stuff.
I
Do
think
they
did
even
with
do that?
Skype. I think they had
Skype?
I think it was
Okay.
Skype.
So everything is just a Facebook service, and my news feed just kind of flows through the phone somehow.
Well, yeah, I think it's real. It's a lot about the UI from, again, what I've seen. Let's not talk about the actual specs of it, because you want to read it, go see the videos.
I don't care about
of it.
the actual hardware specs of it.
No,
I
no,
care
I
more
mean,
about the software,
Well, let's
what
not
it's
talk about,
doing.
But like the concept that a social network is building a device.
I don't even think of Facebook as a social network anymore.
It reminds me of the ESPN phone. Do you remember the ESPN phone?
I remember that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They promoted that for a long
about
time.
a year, and then
They were, to their credit, they were ahead of the game, and they were too far ahead.
they were so ahead of the game that they got hit by the other
Well,
players.
they missed, because really all they did was, and they probably benefited from it, was put together the framework for what their mobile applications are today.
Right.
But they were just a little ahead. They were like, mobile's it, we're going to make a phone, instead of mobile's it, we'll wait for an OS to come out that can support great applications.
And this is where my fear of Facebook, and I feel in some ways...
Remember, they're doing this on Android, which is an open source...
Yeah.
It is an operating system.
I understand, but some of the limitations I've heard was that it takes over it doesn't allow you to do the stuff that's built into other Android devices, because I've taken it out, like I think like widgets and things like that people really like. Anyway, but I'm more kind of interested in sort of if I were a huge Facebook user, fine, then this I guess would be just absolutely just totally integrated. But I worry from with the onset of these devices and these social networks, I personally want much more of I want the smorgasbord. I want the Chinese menu. I want to have all that stuff if I want it, but I don't want to have a phone that's like, this is the Facebook phone. I want the phone and thing, and then I want integration with Facebook. I mean, all the stuff that iOS has been doing, and even Mac.
I want a Facebook app. I want it to be good. I want to be able to post to Facebook from wherever on the phone, so I want to be logged into it.
Right.
And that's good enough for me. I'm not a huge Facebook person. I like Twitter more than I like Facebook. I would never have the Facebook phone. I feel like I don't feel like Facebook invades.
Who would really like it.
Yeah, right. I don't feel like Facebook invades my privacy, but I know that there are people that do. And then to think about a phone that is just a Facebook phone, that is like a supreme invasion of like, this is my phone. Like, people calling, everything is now yours. And I know that, people, Apple haters will say the same thing about like an iPhone, right? Like, they log everything, or everything that you send over iMessage is logged, everything that you do, everything that you go on the, every hit you do on the mobile Safari, right. Everything's captured. I mean, I'm okay with that. Because I know them more as a hardware/software provider, as opposed to Facebook, which is a website.
Well, that's why I'm happy to have. I'm actually excited to see that Apple getting out. Like, when Apple killed off Ping, I was like, good. You shouldn't be in Ping. Don't be doing your own network. Just integrate with others. If I'm in iTunes, I want to tweet or Facebook something. That's good.
Right.
And eventually, when I'm on a map and I want to put a Foursquare, fine. You want to pull in Google Local? Like, as a consumer, I want choices. And I don't really want my hardware and phone to have already made its choice about what social network I should use. What social network should you use? I guess I'm using Facebook because that's the phone I have.
Well, that's your choice. I mean, you're using Facebook if you're buying the Facebook phone. You're not a moron. You're not going to buy the Facebook phone and then be like, I hate Facebook. I mean, that's just silly.
That might be funny.
I mean, well, it's like, I didn't know. It just looked cool. It was blue, right?
Why can't I get to Google Plus?
Why can't I tweet something? You can't.
Yeah. That's, I guess, is my thing. It's like, I want more choices. I want to be able to play around on other things. And I want to be able to choose at the OS level what social networking and what integration those things have, and be able to turn them on or off if need be. And not that I think everything's done and great in iOS, but I think you have enough choice. You can go through, if you want to, and just say, don't update on this. Every time you go into an app, it says, can it access your contacts?
Yeah,
can it access your thing?
I say no a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say, yes, you need it.
Right.
Because that's the point of this application.
Right.
Like, I really wish iOS did what they did with Twitter with Foursquare.
It's coming.
Yeah, I want that.
But Apple's
I want to
very
be able to
slow
check
to do
in
that.
Like through
From
the
top.
iOS,
Right.
like through the top.
But that they're very slow to do that because they don't want to get in bed with someone who then disappears.
Yeah, they're careful.
Or gets bought by Microsoft or whatever. They want to make sure that they're not whatever. Anyway, so that's the Facebook phone.
Let's get some pics.
All right.
Let's do some pics.
Wait, I just picked the blue snowball and Facebook phone.
The blue snowflake.
Flake.
Let us know how this sounds.
If it sounds horrible, well, then you're only going to hear it twice a year anyway.
Yeah, so not often. But these will likely be with us at Dreamforce.
Yes, they probably will be.
So if you visit us, you'll see these instead of the snowballs.
I'm never traveling with those again.
No,
in fact, in our new studio, I'm probably going to mount them to like.
You're going to mount them somewhere? You're going to put them on a swing arm?
Yeah. Because that's the way it should be. You put them out here, and then you can just...
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Actually mount them to the table.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
In the podcast studio.
Yeah, we're moving studios in a couple of months.
Yes, we are. All right, so make a pick.
All right, so I'm doing a hardware pick.
Me too.
A fairly expensive one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
By many people's standards. So, I love headphones.
Oh, this is what these are. Yes.
I love headphones. I have been a fan of like noise cancellation, in-ear, as good as you can get headphones for a while, and I've now had 4 pairs of what I would consider higher end than like the headphone that comes with the device headphones.
Right.
I've never been able to wear the Apple earbuds. Ever.
It's funny because the new Apple earbuds...
I can't wear those either.
I love them.
Can't wear them.
They are absolutely great. They run. You can run with them.
I can't wear them. They hurt my ears. The original Apple earbuds, the new ones, I can't wear them. They hurt my ears. So ever since I got an iPod, way back in the day, I said, I got to get different headphones for this. So I started with the Shure EC2s.
Yep.
Those were expensive.
Maybe I had those.
I then moved on to buy the Apple in-ear headphones, which were not quite as expensive, but they broke a couple times. I then moved on to the Bose in-ear headphones.
Yes.
And I am now on to the best headphones that I've actually ever had.
Drop a beat on me.
They are the Beats Tour by Beats by Dre. They're the in-ear Beats by Dre headphones. I got the white ones.
Yes.
They also come in black and red.
Yes.
But I got the white ones to match my white iPhone. They're $149.
So let me question: do they have mic?
Of course, I would not have bought them.
That's true. And full controls.
Full control.
So I'm pointing to my chest.
Full control, double click, triple click, Siri, the whole nine.
Okay. And they're the in-ear, like the one with the rubber.
Totally
that
in-ear with the rubber that locks it off.
But they don't have active noise cancellation.
They do not.
It's passive. Okay.
It's the noise cancellation's all controlled by the fact that they go in the ear, and the suction kind of blocks it. They're better than the Bose ones. The Bose ones, because those didn't go like fully in ear.
Right.
They're akin to like the Apple ones.
Okay.
The way the Apple ones go in your ear.
The new ones,
not the new
actually
ones,
block.
the older
Yeah,
ones,
the old ones
with the rubber thing around.
That was but the thing I hated about all those were those little rubber things because they would constantly come off.
Yeah, these haven't been a problem. They're very tight.
Okay.
And it came with like 6 or 8 replacements for them and different types.
Okay.
Like 2 different types of rubber tips.
There's the one that's squishy, like that earplug.
No, different than that. Like ones that have like 3 little like bulbous like things on them, and then one that's just a round thing. I'm using the normal looking ones.
Nice. And so you like them? They sound.
I love them. They sound great. They work really good. The controls work great. The best part about them are 2 things. One is the fact that they go in the ear and they do like cancel. A lot of my listening happens in the New York City subway system, which is loud, but never impacts anything that I'm listening to. That used to happen with the Bose ones. And the other piece that I think is actually their best quality is the cord. The cord is flat.
Right.
It cannot tangle. And the Bose ones that I've had previously and the Apple ones that I've had previously were not flat. They were round, and they would tangle and fray.
Right.
They would fray at the edges, and that's what eventually broke them.
Right.
And the little controller, like for anyone who has an iPhone, the little speaker / control that you can control like the volume and go to the next track or pause or bring up Siri. Even yesterday, I was in my car and I was driving home from somewhere, and I wanted to call somebody on my ride home. So I just popped these headphones in, pressed the button down, and told Siri to call the person, and
nice. Siri
called them. That's my main use for Siri in the car. I say, get me home, and I say, call this person.
Beats Tour, $149.
$149. I spend money on headphones because I think it's worth it.
Well,
They usually last for me for about 2 years, and then I'm on to the next ones.
So I'm going to go reverse.
Go reverse. Reverse it on me. So hey, why don't you go backwards?
I'm going to go backwards.
Do it. What do you got? You got a bag.
I have a bag of my picks.
You got a jam box in there.
Well, wait for it.
You've picked that before.
I understand. I'm doing a tour of picks. So I have picked the jam box.
Yes, that's right.
And I like the jam box.
We like the jam box. Okay. We all like the jam box. We all have the jam box.
Then
I say we, I mean you and I.
Yeah, you and I. Then I picked the shock box.
Right. The shocker box.
Which was a little bit bigger, and it's like rubberized and whatever.
It's a little rugged. It's a little more rugged, and it has the ability to have 2 of them that you can make into a stereo system.
Right. So I like the jam box
that
for the
one's made by Philips.
Yeah, so I like the...
And the jam box is made by Jawbone, right?
The jam box for the size. I like the and the sound. The sound is good on the jam box. I like the shock box for the volume. It goes much higher.
Really? It goes louder?
It goes much louder than the Jambox.
Really? The Jambox is... I amaze people when I turn the Jambox on. And they're like, really? That little thing for a Bluetooth?
Wait for it.
Okay.
So this one's louder, but it's bigger and heavier. And
let me hold it.
And it's really made for the beach. Like, that's made for the beach. Like,
I could
it's
see
actually
this on
water
a beach
resistant.
because it is very rugged.
Right. It almost looks like a weapon.
I could hurt you with this, I think, if I tried. So what's the pick?
So the pick is...
Or is there more, like, showing off?
No. So I have been searching for the next one. Why do you ask? Because
Why? You have 2 already.
I'm not satisfied with those 2.
But those 2 are really good.
No, I'm not satisfied. Because I want something in between. I want something that's small, like the Jambox, but has the sound of the thing. So I read this review the other day that's like, they reviewed everyone. I've been looking at the Jambox Big, the big box, boom box.
Oh, yeah, the bigger Jambox.
Because I'm like, I want bigger, richer sound, and I don't want to, like, the Jambox isn't doing it. I'm like, this would be bigger. So I'm like, so I read about it. But then I read this big review.
So what do you got? What do you got for me? It's not even open. It's in the box.
No, I've actually had it out. I brought the box just to show you.
Logitech.
So it is the Logitech UE mobile boombox.
Okay.
All right.
I've got questions.
Hold on. So here's the thing.
I've got so many questions.
So
like one.
Well, I'm gonna let me just talk, and then I can tell you, and then you won't have so many questions.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to fill the time as you open the box.
All right. Well, people are listening to me open the box. So
it's not that big.
Here's what I like about it. The reviews were great on it. Basically, they said it's the best one of the bunch.
Huh.
So let me give you some pricing. Jambox, $189.
No kidding.
Boombox, the big box is $249.
Okay.
This is, I think, $180 something.
All right.
So I was looking, I was like, I don't know if I want to buy $250 or whatever. So I was like, I looked around. This one has a couple features. And first of all, it's small. It's like kind of like half the size. It's a little bit thicker. But
yeah,
if
it's
you feel
small.
it, but you could pack that.
It's light.
Easy. Yeah, it's light.
Oh, it's lighter than both.
Yeah,
it's smaller than both.
And it has, it has on off. It has the ability to plug in auxiliary.
It's Bluetooth,
right?
yeah.
It's Bluetooth, of course. It has, and one of the things that this doesn't do, that the Shockbox doesn't do, but the Jambox does, is the speakerphone that you can connect up.
So it does do the speaker.
It does do the speakerphone.
Okay.
And it really sounds great and is louder than both.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what is this one called?
This is called the Logitech UE Mobile Boombox.
Logitech UE Mobile Boombox.
So, can do speakerphone, can do 2 devices talk. This is one of the big things they talk about, is you can have 2 people paired with it at a time, and you can swap music back and forth. So you can play music, and then I can. So with your iPad and your iPhone, you both be connected. You listen to your iPhone, you listen to your iPad music, someone calls you, the iPhone takes over, and you can then use it as a speakerphone.
I'm sending this to somebody because I'm literally emailing them right now. Somebody said to me, hey, what's that speaker that you brought? We went on vacation,
right,
or on a bachelor, I shouldn't say vacation, it was a bachelor party, and I brought the Jambox with me to have in the room,
right,
like for pre-gaming and whatever, and everyone was like, oh, that's so awesome because, anybody could pair to it and just play their music, and it was really good, and it was really nice sounding. And he was like, what was that thing? Because I need new speakers for my computer, and, I want something that's like wireless and cordless and whatever. And that one sounded really cool. It's small. Oh, you're playing music. Where's your Katy Perry?
So, yes.
Come on, play your Katy Perry.
There you go.
Everyone will learn Jason's musical style.
I'm not going to play Katy Perry. But
Britney Spears, go for it.
What I will say, it's nice and loud, has a great battery life apparently, good enough to pack, so you could throw this in you go on.
They're all good enough to pack, in fairness. Like the Jambox, you have no problem packing. I've brought it with me many a place. What are you doing here?
I don't know. I'm trying to get.
But it works. It does work for the conference calls.
Here we go. But it works for the conference calls. It does all that, and so I think. Here we go. I hope this is appropriate.
Just gonna play rap music on the Arkus Cloud Computing Podcast.
All right, probably not.
CloudFocus Weekly goes gangster. What just happened?
Anyway, it's a great little device. 12 hours of battery life. Nice design. Does the speakerphone?
It is a nice design. It has big buttons.
And it has like this bass thing in the back. It has good bass. It's great. And here's the
It
thing.
It's like a little mini
Price-wise,
sub built in. $99.
$84.
$84
on
bucks?
Amazon.
Oh, wow.
So literally half the cost.
Let me see that. Can I put it down this way?
No.
Yeah, I can. Look at that.
Okay,
It'll go any way I want.
Yeah. So
It's got good balance to it.
and it's rubberized, so you can,
Only you would have 3 of these things.
I have a lot of I have more phones in my or more devices, Bluetooth devices. So anyway, this is my pick of the week. I actually have another one, but I just got it today. Not a speakerphone, but another very cool technology thing that I'm testing in my apartment today, and I will probably pick it next week. But anyway,
I'm looking forward to that.
So $84, not bad. Like a really nice little device, good sound, good whatever, and does the pairing, does dual pairing, the 2 at the time. Really great. I now have 3 different USB speakers, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. By the way, if as we wrap up, we talked about the MVPs. If you want one of my last tweets, so at Just Edelstein, you can go check out. I tweeted the link for the most recent MVP announcement, and they made the page really nice, so you can follow all of the Salesforce MVPs by clicking a button. If you're logged into Twitter, you just start clicking the buttons to follow everybody. It makes it really nice and easy. And I would suggest, these are people, if you're interested in Salesforce, you should be following on Twitter.
Yep.
Because that's what we're talking about.
All right, let's wrap this up. Look, another 46 minutes on our short podcast. Remember to go to blog.arkusinc.com.
This was supposed to be a short one, wasn't it?
Remember to go to facebook.com/arkusinc. Remember to go to Google Plus and search
Do it on
for
your
Arkus.
phone.
Remember, or search for CloudFocus Weekly. We're in the Dreamforce portal. We're on LinkedIn. You follow Justin at Just Edelstein. Follow me at Jason M. Atwood. The company's at Arkus Inc. We'll be back next week with our blue. We'd like to hear how they sound. Our blue snowflakes. Until then, as we always say, enjoy those cloudy days.